Hey everybody, welcome back to Movies Net. I'm your host Cody, and today we are going to be doing a tier list on my top 25 Christmas movies. So Christmas is less than a week away now, next Monday. So I did my top 10 ranking 2 weeks ago to kick off the month. Last week I did a review on Home Alone 3, just kind of a look back, a darker look back on that movie because it's the end of the franchise. So before Christmas, I wanted to do this. Just do 25 movies for 25 days in December, December 25th for Christmas. So let's kick it off. So as you see here on the left-hand side, we have 5 tiers that we're going through. So the first one is, the greatest of all time, or, the all-timers, whatever you want to call it. I have that as Merry Christmas to all and to all good night. The second, the next best thing here is Rocking Around the Christmas Tree. Kind of the middle of the road here is just Ho Ho Ho. And then our two bad movie categories. The not so bad one, but not great, is Blue Christmas. And the last one is Dump It to Crumpet. So that's what we're going to do here. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm just going to go from what I have here in no particular order at all. So just as you see down here, I'm just going to go ahead and start off. So the first thing I'm going to start with looks like we have is A Christmas Story. Might be a little unpopular here. I do like this movie a lot. Is it worthy of a top ranking? That I'm not sure. I think maybe just because I've watched it so many times, and as much as it's overplayed on Christmas, it might go to Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree. I don't know. That's tough. This is a tough first one here. You know what? I think because of the reputation it has and the story, I am going to put it at the top. I will put it Merry Christmas to all and to all good night. All right. So the next thing we have here is National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Now, this is personally my favorite Christmas movie. It has been for a while. As you watched my top 10 ranking, this is my number one. So with that being said, it is going to go to Merry Christmas to all and to all good night. And I'm actually going to put that in front of A Christmas Story because I do like that a lot better. But yeah, I mean, there's not much to be said about that. I mean, I think it's hilarious. Some people, think it's cringy and whatnot, but in my opinion, it is a great Christmas movie, full of comedy, tons of fun, and has a great meaning to it at the end there. So we'll leave that. Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night. And that brings me to Die Hard. So a lot of people think this is one of the best movies of all time. It's in their top 10 just in movies in general. For me, I think I put it in 3 or 4 for my top 10 Christmas movies at least. However, I don't think it is an all-timer or at the top. The only reason I say that is because, yes, Christmas is definitely the theme. It's definitely in the background. However, if we're just doing this as Christmas movies, as a Christmas list, I'm going to put in Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree there. It's a great movie. It is one of the best movies of all time, in my opinion. But as a Christmas movie, I don't think it's worthy of going to the top here, just in my opinion. Now we have It's a Wonderful Life. I don't really watch this too much in my recent years. I used to watch it a lot as a kid because it'd normally be on a lot more when I was a kid. For some reason, I don't see it on TV that much anymore. I don't own it, and I kind of don't go out of my way to stream it. I think I did last year. I watched it, but I mean, it's a great movie. Just as seeing what your life or what life would be like if you weren't around, and really making or don't take things for granted. Appreciate life, and of course, it's all about Christmas and making you appreciate Christmas in life. Obviously, A Wonderful Life. So with that being said, in my opinion, I'm just gonna put it in Ho Ho Ho. That's just my opinion. I think other people could easily make a case to put it in the top 2 here, but just for me, it's gonna be kind of a middle of the road But it's a great movie. Great message behind it, of course. Next up here we have Home Alone. Yep. So Home Alone. Um, that is going to be Merry Christmas to all and to all good night. I mean, that is hands down it. That was not going to change. I mean, this is one of my favorite Christmas movies of all time, that's for sure. And actually, it's been one of my favorite movies of all time for ever since I've saw it. So there we go. Now we have Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas from 2000, starring Jim Carrey. I always love this movie. It's going right and rocking around the Christmas tree. Always a must-watch during Christmas. I watch it probably a couple of times during the season here. I think it's funny. I kind of prefer the cartoon a little more. I love the cartoon more, but I'm only doing feature-length films here. But no, nonetheless, this great performance by Jim Carrey as the Grinch, like the Who's, and like what they did to make it a feature-length film. Now we have Gremlins, so that's going right and rocking around the Christmas tree. I would want to put in Merry Christmas to all, but um, it, just because of it's not, it is a Christmas movie, but it's not truly a Christmas movie in my opinion. That's not like the main thing they're focused on. It is a creature feature horror comedy movie, but I love it, and it's a classic. It definitely is a classic. So that's going and rocking around the Christmas tree. Now we have Scrooged, Bill Murray in Scrooge. So this is a movie actually probably for the first time I ever saw it was maybe 2 years ago, believe it or not. And I knew obviously by the title, it was a play on A Christmas Carol and Ebenezer Scrooge and whatnot, and it was like a modern day version of that. But I thought it was really good. I think it's actually one of Bill Murray's better roles, better movies. Um, but is it one of my favorites? Is it necessarily a classic? That I don't think so. I don't think it really holds up to A Christmas Carol by any means, the original, of course. But it is a decent one. So I'll put that kind of middle of the road. It's going to go in ho ho ho. Now we have the Santa Claus 2. So I love the first one. The original Santa Claus is one of my favorite Christmas movies as well. It made my top 10 list. Not the Santa Claus 2, however. I think they lost a little bit of the magic there. They made it more of, more of like I don't want to say modern Disney take on it, but I think they tried to make it a little more cartoony, a little more comedic. But Tim Allen does a great job still. And I like where they take it, where the story goes. He has to find his Mrs. Claus and things like that to remain Santa. But again, lost some of the magic that the first one gave us. So that being said, that is going to go. I think I'm going to put that in Blue Christmas. Unfortunately, I think that's where it's gonna have to go. Definitely a downfall from the first one, but that's just how I'm feeling right now. All right, now we have actually a movie I watched the other night for the first time, and I had a really good time with, and that is Violent Night. I did have a good time with it, and that's mainly because of Santa Claus in it and the character, or the actor who portrayed him, the character himself, the comedy that revolved around him, the action that revolved around him. Everybody else, except for the bad guys in this, I could not stand. That whole family, very cringy. I did not care if any of them lived or died, because it was just very annoying. But I had a good time with it. It is fun. Is it a good movie? Not necessarily. But other than that, I think I think if you watch it and kind of treat it as a Die Hard type of movie, you have a good time with it. But with that being said, I'll put in ho 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 for that. I'm gonna actually I gotta move these around. I'm gonna move Scrooge in front of A Wonderful Life if I can, but I'm gonna leave Violent Night. There we go. Actually, I want to put Gremlins in front of Grinch and Home Alone in front of Christmas Story. Sorry, first time doing tier list here, so a little new to it. All right, so that looks good now. All right. Now we have the 1984 movie of A Christmas Carol. They've done a bunch of different movies for this title. But this one is what I remember the most as a kid. I remember we watched it in school. Um, you know, before Christmas break, this was like a movie that was always on every year for some reason. So I remember it a lot. My grandmother actually had this movie as well. And her and I would watch it when I was a kid. So whenever I think of A Christmas Carol, this is the movie that comes to mind. This is the one I remember. Um, and it's dark. It's definitely depressing. But at the end, it comes to light. Ebenezer, he sees sees what his life can was, what it is now, what it can turn into if he stays his course and he changes for the better. And it turns into a great Christmas message at the end. And it's a good movie, but I'm gonna stick that one in Ho Ho Ho. I'm actually gonna put that one in front of Wonderful Life and Violet Night. All right. Now we have the Polar Express. This is, it's for the kids, of course, but I've never been a huge fan of it. I'll watch it for sure, but it's not something I'm going to be glued to the TV. I'll have it on the background. I'll look up to it every now and then. Never was a fan of it when it came out because it came out when I was younger. And it's just never really carried on for me since. So that being said, it's going to go into Blue Christmas here for me. Now we have Jingle All the Way. So this is a movie that I used to love when I was younger, mainly because of Arnold Schwarzenegger, because I loved him as an actor with the Terminator and Predator and things like that. So I just really liked him I like this movie because of him for the most part. So over the past few years that I've watched it, it's kind of lost its luster for me. I said this because I made it as an honorable mention in my ranking. And I said this about it. It's a movie that I could put on in July and not really care that it's a Christmas movie because it really just doesn't have that Christmas atmosphere. It doesn't have the Christmas vibe to it. Which is, you think it would, but it just doesn't. I mean, it's just Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sinbad trying to get Turbo Man, and they fight at the end as Turbo Man, and I forget what the villain was that Sinbad was, but it was them trying to get a Christmas present, the most sought after toy for their sons, and there was only one left, or there was none left, but because they wasted their time and missed out on it. But other than that, I don't think it's. If you would have asked me 10 years ago, it probably would have went and rocked around the Christmas tree, but now I'm going to put it in Blue Christmas, except I'm going to put it in front of the Polar Express. If I can. There we go. All right. Next up here, we have Elf. So Elf, I cannot believe it was made in 2003. I keep forgetting that it's that old. It is 20 years old because it doesn't look like that at all. But other than that, I think it's fun. Obviously, definitely made for the kids. Some people think it's the all-time or one of the greatest Christmas movies ever made. I don't think that. I don't even think it's in it's definitely not my first two categories. I kind of want to put it in Ho Ho Ho, but it's lingering in Blue Christmas. I'm not too sure where I want to put it. I'll put it in Ho 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 because I do like it. It's like the movies in Blue Christmas, like they're movies I could put on the background and not really care about watching. For some reason, Elf, whenever it's on, I do like watching it all the way through. I do think it's funny. I have a good time with it. Will Ferrell does a great job. But it's teetering. It's teetering. Maybe in a couple of years it'll fall, but we'll see. It's definitely not going to go up, that's for sure. All right, next up here we have Deck the Halls. This has Matthew Broderick in it, Danny DeVito. I used to like this when I was younger. I watched it, I think it came out in 2006. I'd watch it every Christmas around then. I haven't seen it for a while, until just very recently. But I remember not really enjoying it that much. And I think it's just too goofy. Don't really care for the characters, in my opinion. It's just kind of like that mid-2000s style to it, too. And I'm not really a huge fan of the mid-2000s movies in general. So that kind of brings it down. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and put that one in Blue Christmas as well. Sorry, my nose is itchy. All right. Now we have Krampus. So Krampus from 2015. I just watched this the other night as well, and I actually enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to. I thought it was going to be kind of a dumb Christmas horror movie, and it wasn't great, um, but it was pretty cool. Like I had a good time with it. I had a lot of good like animatronic creatures in there, which were a little scary, not gonna lie, a little freaky. They were kind of dumb, but I wasn't expecting it because I was expecting Krampus to be the main villain, which he was, but he wasn't really doing all the killing and all the attacks and stuff like that. He really didn't come out till the end. And I thought there was good messaging there. I like how they finally did a movie revolving around Krampus. I mean, he's a huge thing in German folklore, and he's definitely known around the world. So I think it was a cool take on that. Like the characters, the story was fine, but it's going to be middle of the road for me. I'll put that in Ho Ho Ho, except I'm actually going to put that in front of Violent Night. All right. Now we have Prancer. I was never a huge fan of Prancer. It's a cute movie. It definitely has a good meaning and messaging behind it. But I don't know, it just doesn't do it for me. I don't really have too much to say about it. Um, if it's on, sure, I'll watch it, but it's one of those movies, kind of like the rest here in Blue Christmas, where this one's going, that I'll put on the background, and yeah, I'll look up to it every now and then. But I'll put that in front of Polar Express for sure, and Deck the Halls. All right. So now we have A Miracle on 34th Street from 1994 with David Attenborough. In my opinion, classic 90s Christmas movie. It definitely has that 90s feel to it, that flair. A great Christmas vibe to it, obviously. I like how they do their take on Santa actually being real, but being like a regular person. However, he is like I forget the department store in this movie's name, but he's like their Santa Claus that they're hiring, and he's going through a scandal. He's getting under criminal investigation. There's this whole court trial to it, and whatnot, and it's a really nice movie. I really do like it, and I'm going to put that in Rocking Around the Christmas Tree here. All right, not too many left. We're kind of sailing through this. Next thing is Christmas with the Cranks. I watch it every year. It was a movie, actually, me and my grandmother went and saw when it came out. And I actually just watched it yesterday, too. Great movie. It's a fun time. Tim Allen and Jamie Lee Curtis do a great job. It's goofy for sure. But again, the cast, and it's very well cast. You also have Dan Aykroyd in there. And, it's kind of just the stress of Christmas, making sure everything goes as planned but it never goes as planned. So when it doesn't go as planned, you have to scramble. You got to react to it and solve the issue. And it does a great job of doing that. And, at the end of the movie, it shows what the true meaning of Christmas is all about. It's not receiving gifts. It's about giving them, make sure everybody's happy, even those that you're not too fond of. So at that, I'm actually going to put that in Rocking Around the Christmas Tree as well. All right, now we have Home Alone 2, and that's going right up to Merry Christmas to all and to all a good night. I mean, there's not much to say about it. It's Home Alone 2. It's picks up right after Home Alone. We get Kevin in New York City fighting Marv and Harry again, and you get that New York City Christmas feel to it, which really adds to this movie. Makes it different from the first one, makes it stand out. I think it loses a little bit of the magic that we got from the first one, but other than that, the comedy's still golden. It feels just like the first one as far as style and cinematography, things like that. So yeah, definitely an all-timer for me. And then we have Bad Santa. So if you've seen it, you know exactly what it is. If you haven't seen it, go ahead and see it because it's bad. Not in terms of a movie, but I mean, it's not for kids, put it that way. But other than that, it is funny, and you get what you get. So not much else to say about it. Like I said, just go watch it. If you saw it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But it's middle of the road for me. I'm going to put that in Ho Ho Ho. It's going to go in front of Elf, actually. Actually, I haven't seen it yet this year. Yeah, I'll definitely watch it this week. All right, so now we have the Santa Claus 3, and this is going to dump it to Crumpet. Yeah, I get what they were trying to do. I mean, they were trying to ride this, make it a franchise, ride the Santa Claus, and they had to do something different from the second one. In my opinion, they probably should have just left it at the second one and shouldn't have made any more of these. They introduced Jack Frost as like this villain to Santa, which it's okay, but it's completely lost the in my view, it completely lost the point that we got in the first one. The second one was kind of steering away from that. The third one is completely removed from what we got in that first one, in my opinion. So, never been a huge fan of this movie. So yeah, Dump It to Crumpet is where it's going to go. And then we have A Christmas Story Christmas, and I watched this for the first time last night to get ready for this. And as much as they tried to give it the style that we got in that original one, and bring Ralphie back, bring Flick and Schwartz back, and all them, um, it doesn't hold the same vibe, doesn't have that same magic. Um, and I think they tried to do too much with it. They tried to make it as close as possible to the first one, and I think that ruined it for them. As you could tell that they were trying to force some things in there with the score, with the narration, with the flashbacks. I didn't think they really needed all that. Sure, some of it, but not as much as they did with that. So I really didn't care for it that much. So it's gonna go into Blue Christmas for me. All right, two left. The next thing we have is the original Santa Claus, and that's going right up to Merry Christmas to all and to all a good night. So, I mean, it's Tim Allen becoming Santa Claus, except he became Santa Claus because of the clause in a little card that he picked up after the other Santa Claus fell off his roof. And you have his son Charlie, and they go to the North Pole and meet Bernard the elf and all the other elves, and Tim becomes Santa, Scott Calvin, SC, and goes through his transformation, and no one believing him or Charlie. They're thinking he's nuts, and Charlie's being manipulated by his father, and it turns into kind of a custody battle and things like that. And there's just a lot to it, and in the end, everything works out. We get that happy ending that Disney always promises us, and just a great movie. So it's definitely a Merry Christmas to all and to all a good night. I'm actually going to put that in front of A Christmas Story, if I can. There we go. All right. Last movie here is Black Christmas from 1974. Now, I thought about doing Black Christmas 2006. Again, I was only doing 25 movies, so I didn't know which one to pick here, so I went with the original one because I've seen the remake when it first came out. I didn't like it then, and I've heard nothing but bad reviews since then. And I didn't want to revisit it. I never saw a 1974 one, so I watched that the other night, and it's a good slasher. Christmas is definitely there. It's definitely the theme. But I mean, the villain, Billy, I mean, holy hell. Insane. I mean, the guy is absolutely insane. It was a little disturbing. Not He was very disturbing. The kills were pretty gruesome, pretty vicious, and it definitely solidified the reputation this movie got and received, and that I heard other people talk about. I feel the same way. Is it a great Christmas movie? No. Is it a great horror movie? Not a great horror movie. It's definitely a good one. It's a good slasher. So with that being said, it's gonna go middle of the road. It's gonna go ho 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 for me. I almost put it in Blue Christmas. It's definitely close to that, but no. So all right, there you have it, guys. We have let's see, ho 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 is the highest category here. Got one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, 8 movies in that, with Dump It to Crumpet being the least one with only the Santa Claus 3. And I'm actually surprised. I thought I was going to put maybe one or two in there, or one or two more, should I say. But yeah, going back and thinking these through and with the recent watches of most of these movies I've had, this definitely looks accurate to me. Exactly how I'm feeling. If you guys feel the same, please comment yours down below. Do your own list. You can send those to me for sure. Would definitely like to see that. So, yeah, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, of course, like the video, subscribe for more. And if I don't put anything out between now and Christmas, Merry Christmas to you guys, to your families, and see you soon. Thank you.